By the Montana Television Network. This is the noon news from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon. We're glad you could join us before you head out for the weekend. I'm Aja Goare. Our top story this half hour: in a speech at the Asia Pacific Economic Forum today, President Trump said he will not let the U.S. be a victim of bad trade agreements any longer. CBS's Stephen Portnoy reports on the 12th day of the president's tour in Asia.
Here in Vietnam, President Trump stood shoulder to shoulder with fellow world leaders in local garb, as is the custom at the annual APEC Economic Summit. Also in attendance, Russian President Vladimir Putin. It's still unclear if Mr. Trump will meet formally with his Russian counterpart. Earlier in the day, the president spoke to CEOs and business leaders in this region. He urged them to help push back against North Korea's nuclear ambitions.
The future of this region and its beautiful people must not be held hostage to a dictator's twisted fantasies of violent conquest and nuclear blackmail.
The president also spoke trade, and again, as he did earlier in the week in China, blamed his predecessors, not other nations, for unfair deals.
From this day forward, we will compete on a fair and equal basis. We are not going to let the United States be taken advantage of anymore.
The president went on to say countries that abide by the rules of the World Trade Organization may partner with the U.S., and those that don't will no longer be tolerated. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, traveling with the president in Da Nang, Vietnam.
More cases of unfair trade practices have been filed against the U.S. than any other country. Senate Republicans' version of a tax reform bill varies just enough from the House plan that the two chambers could be poised for a showdown in the upcoming weeks. The Senate plan includes more individual tax brackets than the House bill, with 7 compared to 4. The plan also fully repeals the state and local tax deduction, which has become a must-save item for moderate GOP House members. The ultimate goal for both chambers is to have a tax cut bill on the president's desk before the end of 2017. Republicans are distancing themselves from Alabama's GOP Senate candidate, now accused of making sexual advances on 4 women when they were teenagers. Judge Roy Moore calls the allegations a, quote, filthy attack by Democrats. 4 women told the Washington Post Moore pursued them while they were underage. One woman explained how Moore courted her at the age of 14 and even gave her alcohol and took his clothes off with her. The White House said President Trump believes Judge Moore will do the right thing and step aside if the allegations are true. And comedian Louie CK is now among the latest celebrities accused of sexual misconduct. 5 women told the New York Times the comedian was sexually inappropriate with them. The Los Angeles County District Attorney has created a special task force to investigate allegations of sexual abuse in Hollywood. And just new this hour, Louie CK confirms the allegations are true. A Browning man faces federal charges related to a fatal crash in Glacier County last year. Cody Swan Johnson made his initial appearance in U.S. District Court in Great Falls this week on a charge of involuntary manslaughter and tampering. The crash happened in December of 2016 on U.S. Highway 2 between Glacier Park and Browning. Jackson allegedly drove recklessly when he went off the road, crashed through a fence, and rolled the vehicle. A male passenger was ejected and killed. After the crash, Jackson allegedly tried to convince 2 people to tell authorities someone else was driving. The victim's name has never been released. The man who allegedly shot a woman multiple times outside her Great Falls home last month denies the allegations. 33-year-old Jason Humalu was arraigned Thursday in Cascade County District Court on charges of assault with a weapon and tampering with evidence. The victim told police she went out to the garage to smoke a cigarette, and Humalu came out of the garage with a gun. Humalu allegedly shot the woman 3 times during an altercation. Prosecutors say the woman's hands were up in self-defense when she was shot. Humalu initially claimed the woman attacked him, but later allegedly admitted he shot the victim with a stolen gun. He is currently in custody. A Miles City man remains hospitalized today after a can of spray paint blew up in his hand and ignited a fire at his home Tuesday night. The Custer County Fire Warden tells us the man was using spray paint in his home near a space heater when the can exploded. The man put out a small fire and then drove himself to the hospital. While the man was gone, the fire reignited at his home on Highway 59 North. By the time fire crews arrived, the entire home and garage were engulfed in flames. We're told the man's hand will require surgery. The home is considered a total loss. A law passed in the 2017 legislature broadens access to a drug that reverses an opioid overdose. Governor Steve Bullock says the expanded access to the drug Naloxone will save lives. In the event of an overdose, the drug blocks the effects of heroin and opioids, restoring breathing and preventing death. The new law allows trained first responders, public health professionals, and others to carry and administer the drug. According to state data, more than 700 people have died from opioid overdoses in Montana since 2000, including 15 victims under the age of 18. A settlement of nearly $1 million to clear delinquent taxes for the old Smurfette mill property is a major relief for Missoula County and its junior taxing districts. Now everyone can concentrate on cleanup issues and making the land productive again. Thursday's settlement announcement comes after weeks of intense negotiations with Washington-based lender Wakefield Kennedy. Thanks to a new law passed in the 2017 legislature, the county was able to seek legal action claiming proceeds from an auction of mill equipment last summer. For the Frenchtown School District, the settlement is huge, as over $300,000 means the district will no longer be spending its reserves. University of Montana deans, departments, and administrators will have a week to respond to program changes proposed by a special campus task force. MTN's Eric Clements explains the cuts.
412 programs and services at the University of Montana are under prioritization review by a task force made of students, faculty, and administrators. It's part of ongoing efforts at UM to ensure funds are appropriated efficiently and with purpose. Programs are separated into 4 prioritization categories: considered for growth and development, considered for development or modification, considered for substantial modification, and programs for which there's insufficient evidence to accurately categorize. Interim UM President Sheila Stearns says this kind of prioritization is common, but this is the first year UM has done it in such a transparent way.
We are always prioritizing anyway, every year. It will just be more informed this year. It will be more specific, and more of those affected will have had a say in the process.
Stearns likens the process to that taken by the Oakland Athletics. Think Moneyball.
A walk is really a better thing than we used to realize, and it would cause them to make their investment decisions in both financial and human resources a little differently. Same here.
Task Force member and UM Faculty Union President Paul Habers says they're currently at a critical stage in the process.
We've done the initial review of the programs. They're ranked into categories. We're moving towards a recommendation phase.
But what will those recommendations look like? Habers says that's the big question.
What kind of recommendations should we make? What should be in that range? And what are we able to do given what we know and what we don't know?
In Missoula, Eric Clements, MTN News.
Thank you, Eric. And a response to the preliminary review is due by November 15th. Bozeman firefighters jumped into action when they learned a golden retriever had fallen into an icy pond. A post about the rescue last week is now going viral online. One firefighter was hooked up and sent out onto the ice to rescue Finn, the dog. The firefighter was able to break some ice so the dog could come to him and be pulled to shore. We're happy to report Finn and the fire crew are all okay. Still ahead on the noon news, quick action by fire crews in China stop an oil tanker from exploding. We'll show you the damage. But first, Rob has our weather forecast. We'll be right back.
You're watching MTN News with Aja Goare, Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh, and farm and ranch news from the Northern Egg Network. This is the